Okay, then take your seats. Okay, don't go back.
Prioritize taxation of international companies over domestic companies.
Opposition, we present the same motion you're having. Okay, let's start the debate.
Prioritizing, this is what I believe is one of the main key terms in today's motion. The motion states, this House would prioritize taxation of international companies over domestic companies. So I want to first make it clear, what is prioritizing? Prioritizing, in this, we mean we're not going to make these companies pay more money, but rather we're going to be more keen when we are collecting taxes from them. We're talking of companies that make a lot of money, but they seem to be getting away with the taxes compared to the amount of money that they make. They are getting more from our country than we are getting from them. This means that when we are getting taxes from them, we are more keen and we are being more careful to make sure that there are no loopholes in our taxation system. So I'm going to start by defining for you the motion. I'm going to give you a basic understanding and characterize the motion, present my arguments, and then I'll tell you what my next speaker will be presenting in today's debate. So, basically in today's debate, I want you to look at the term international companies. We, as side affirmative, believe that the international companies we are looking at in today's debate are profit-making organizations. We're not looking at non-profit organizations, but companies that came from wherever they came from, entered our country, and came here to start businesses and make money from the people in our country. Today we look at our parameters as countries in which the international goods are being consumed more than the local ones. So, with those parameters set, these are the reasons why we think that we should prioritize taxation of international companies. First of all, international companies have a larger market. The fact that they're international, they're operating in several countries. What does this mean? They make more money than the local companies. So obviously, we believe as side affirmative that it is far more logical to be keen when you are putting taxes on them. Secondly, since our parameters are countries in which people consume more of international goods, that means that the international companies have monopolized the economies of these particular countries. What does this mean? We have to get from them as much as they get from us. Well, basically, we can never achieve getting as much as they get from us. So we decide to be keen and get enough money from them. What does this mean? They are getting away, I'll take them in the fourth minute. They are taking away a lot from our country. We're looking at companies such as Shell, companies such as Total, that are making billions of shillings every single year from our own country. Literally everyone in Uganda is getting oil from these companies. Well, why can't we be keen when why can't we prioritize putting taxes on them? Then, we're looking at the fact that we want to incentivize the local goods in the country, put incentives so that people can also look at the local environment. One may say that the international companies have quality goods. Well, we believe as side affirmative that this is just a mindset. People don't try out the local goods because they have been made to believe by these international actors that, well, the local goods can't match the standard. But, well, we believe as side affirmative that if someone also decides to take some of the goods from the local environment, they are also good. But these particular companies are struggling because they have to compete with international companies, which sometimes also do not meet the quality standards. So, these particular companies, since they do not have competition from the local companies, are thriving. So, when we are able to be keen on the taxation, this would mean that when the companies are paying their full taxes, they'll obviously increase their prices because the taxes are now more. And when they increase the prices, this will mean that they have competition from the local goods, which are cheaper. Someone would prefer to buy the local goods. What does this mean? With the competition, they'll have to increase the quality of their goods such that they can match the prices that they are putting on their goods. So with this, the whole point of quality, even the international companies get to improve. They are benefiting because they have to improve their qualities to match the new prices they have set. So, with this, we believe that the quality thing is just a mindset, and then this can be tackled. This mindset can be tackled when the local community is also competing with the international community as they pay their full prices. We want to make it clear that as side affirmative, we are not increasing the taxes being put on these companies. We are rather being keen to make sure that we don't have any mistakes. I gave you examples such as Shell and Total. These are companies that are having mistakes and that are having loopholes in the way they are paying their taxes. Things such as under-declaring their profits and things of this sort. So if we prioritize taxation of international companies, we be keen, we make sure that we realize everything that they do, make sure that we have the exact amount of money that they make sure that we know everything about them, instead of focusing more on the local companies. Yes, we are still taxing the local companies because the government still needs money from everywhere. We are still taxing the local companies, but rather we are prioritizing or being more keen on the international companies which make more money and drain more from our country. So we believe aside affirmative that we can make more money when we prioritize international companies. We can improve the quality of the goods they provide because now they have to compete with the local community. We can bring up the local community and they start competing with the international community that they did not initially compete with because it has monopolized the entire system, change people's mindsets to think that the local people can't produce anything and that their quality is bad. And we believe that it is logical for us today, for this house, to prioritize the taxation of international companies. So my second speaker will come here to give you a world comparison, comparing our world in which we prioritize international companies and compare their world in which they do not prioritize international companies. With all that, I'll rest my case aside affirmative, who believe that we should prioritize the taxation of international companies over domestic companies. Thank you.
Prioritize taxation of international companies over domestic companies. Pano, what do the affirmatives bring to the table? They come over and tell us that prioritizing means being more keen. Meaning they will have to adjust on what they have been doing, but they have never told us how keen are they going to become. What keenness are going to what keenness are they going to put? How are they going to be that keen? Their case to answer. Pano, they come over and tell us that their parameters are where international goods are consumed more than the local goods. They do not first prioritize why those international goods are being taken as a first priority rather than the local goods. Let them come and clarify why most of the goods consumed as per parameters are international goods now, not the local goods. Pano, they come over and say that they believe the people believe that the local goods cannot meet the standards of the international goods. But Pano, why is this so? That is the question to the affirmative side. They come over and say that in their case, they are promoting quality of the goods. Pano, which quality are they promoting without showing us which keenness? As per negative side, we take their keenness to be if you are prioritizing, meaning you are catering for this group better than the other group. In this case, they are catering for the international industries rather than the domestic industries. So they are taking the biggest part on international industries rather than the domestic industries. In this case, they are meaning that they are going to favor the domestic industries rather than the international industries. Let them come over and clarify how the quality of goods is going to increase, yet some people are being sort of undermined. They come over and say that the competition will increase and then the mindset will change, but they do not clarify how this mindset is going to change if we prioritize the international industries in terms of taxation. Pano, let's look at it in this way. We have a class in here. We have poor performing students and good students. In case we prioritize, if we take away the good students, will this ensure that the poor students are going to perform? Obviously, no. Instead, what are we doing in this case? The poor students will feel, wow, I'm being given a conducive atmosphere for me to do whatever I want, take whichever step I need. This is the competition they are lowering in their case. If we give this adamance to the domestic industries, it will guarantee them that they have all legal rights. They don't mind about competition because their competitor in the first place has been demoralized. Their competitor is being squeezed. So in this case, why will they even have to improve? So we can see that in their case, they are not promoting the domestic industries as it could have been. So Pano, what does the negative side bring? Now, in case we prioritize taxation of international companies, as the negatives, we are going to see the tax burden. The tax burden is going to fall to the consumers. Why? As they said in one of their cases that there will be increase in prices in case we are going to prioritize the international companies. But Pano, How is this price going to increase? Meaning they are going to increase taxes because if no condition is taken, if you just become keen and that's all, then there is no reason as to why the prices have to increase in the first place. And in case the prices increase, meaning there is a force that is causing those prices to increase. Which force is it? Increase in taxation. Why would the prices increase? The companies obviously want their own, they want to regain their profits. So in this case, the tax burden is going to fall to the consumers because the international companies are going to charge the consumers as much as they can in order to recover the money for covering the taxes to get profits because business is for profit. So why should we prioritize the taxation of international companies and yet our own people are the ones facing the consequences, and they claim that they are coming over to promote the domestic companies? They should come and clarify that. But no, we are going to see that some standard goods are going to be falling in the country. How? Most drugs are produced by international companies. Now, in case their taxation is prioritized, as they say, based on their argument, obviously, the increase in prices is going to cause a withdrawal of the international companies. And guess what will happen if they withdraw? The local companies are going to fail to produce the goods that were to the standards of these international companies. What is going to happen? For example, in the health sector panel, if the drugs are produced at a certain standard quality, what is going to happen to our people? They should come up and verify that. We are going to see monopoly increasing. How is monopoly going to increase? As I have said before, if we prioritize taxation of the international companies, they will withdraw at the end of it all. Now, if they withdraw, what shall we remain with? Obviously, the domestic companies. And what is going to happen? We shall see that if there are 3 companies in general, 2 of them are international ones, and 1 is a domestic company. So if the 2 withdraw their support, or if the 2 withdraw their investment, we are going to see monopoly of that 1 that is remaining. Guess what is going to happen to our people? The tax burden is going to increase the more. We are going to see that many people are employed in these companies. So if the companies withdraw, what is going to happen? Unemployment. But no, we are going to see retaliation in many forms. One of the forms is that the domestic companies, obviously, they operate both in our country and in other countries. So if you frustrate the international companies, prioritizing taxation of them, what is going to happen at the end of it all? We are going to see that the other countries, those are the countries that we partner with in trade, they are going to make a revenge, and we shall suffer the consequences of it all because our own domestic companies that we are trying to take side of are going to fall on their own. So the second speaker will come over and clarify on the point of no capacity of increase as given in the example I gave above. Thank you. I beg to rest my case.
4, 3, 2, 1. I'll start my speech off with a rebuttal to everything that Side Negative has presented from us in its first speech. So the first question Side Negative comes to bring to us is that if we are just going to begin, if we are just going to prioritize how we are taxing it, how come the prices are going to increase? So how are they going to increase? This is how they come to increase. You come to realize that we put it in our entire characterization. These international companies that look for profit, we have not been keen enough on how we tax them. We have not been so vigilant. So at the end of the day, these countries are able to take away the amount of money. They are not paying us everything that they have to pay us. So at the end of the day, what do you come to realize? You come to realize if we were now to be more keen on how we tax them, you come to realize now the extra profits they got from robbing us as a nation, now that's what has to be what looked upon. That's what now they have to come back to what? To regain. So in just that alone, that's how the prices now come to increase. Now if the prices increase, what's going to happen? Now you come to realize, now these countries are actually paying us what they need, and now the prices have increased. What's going to happen? You come to realize the local markets which have been paying their actual right taxes are also now going to what? Have now a fair share in the competition. Since the prices have increased on the other side, these sides are now going to have what? A fair share in the competition for who is selling goods. And then when there's goods are being sold by the people, being bought by the people due to cheaper prices, you come to realize now that people are going to realize that our countries are actually capable of producing goods. If Side Negative does come and say that no, as poor countries they are not capable of producing goods, you need to look at countries such as Uganda where Akira Motors has been set up. You need to look into countries such as South Africa where Pink Lady is a big brand. All these countries are actually capable of producing their own goods, which are actually better than the international goods. But due to our mindset that has been brought up by the international companies and their monopoly that they play, you come to realize this mindset can actually never be tackled. So in that alone, I've come and answered negative questions on how, by prioritizing, how do the prices increase. I've come and shown you that. I've come and answered them the question on how the actual quality of goods is more of a mindset and so on. And then my final rebuttal to what they will say is we are actually squeezing the competitors. No, we're not squeezing the competitors, no, but rather we're actually doing what's right. These countries have the money, they should pay us the taxes, but no. Rather, you find companies like Shell have found loopholes. By which loopholes do we look at? For example, companies like Shell have decided to put their headquarters in other countries. So meaning, legally they are not actually in Uganda, so they are not liable to pay us all that they should owe us. We have seen countries such as Total signing contracts which give them tax debts for companies for things they have not done. So you come to realize at the end of the day, these countries continue to evade taxes. So outside negative says we are squeezing them. No, we are not squeezing them, we are doing. Local companies have no issue with paying off taxes, but you come to realize, international companies, you come to realize these companies have found so many loopholes on how they pay their taxes. They come and put their headquarters in other countries, making them legally not in our country. If you come to realize they come and pay tax waivers which they don't actually deserve. So at the end of the day, we want to take more precautions to prevent such instances from happening. So that's what we mean by prioritizing international companies paying taxes over the domestic companies. So now, let me take you through our analysis of how today's argument comes to look like. So, by these people evading taxes, you come to realize these countries continue to keep stable prices. And if these prices stay stable, the mindset of that we can produce our own goods, it continues to stay in the people. So now what happens? These companies now continue to have a monopoly over the so-called parameters in today's debate. So if these countries continue to have continue to have this entire monopoly, you come to realize that domestic companies will never actually get out of this dump that they are in. You come to realize that these companies will always be foreshadowed because these companies now have a monopoly because they are not paying all that they should pay. You find these countries are able to develop at much faster rates and so on. Then secondly, these countries not paying us all that they should pay us. You come to realize, on top of now suffocating our domestic markets, you come to realize they come and suffocate They come and suffocate the government as well. Since the government is not getting all the taxes that are required to be paid, you come to realize that yes, I've come and given you all the analysis of how these local companies come and keep on evading taxes and so on. So if you have anything that can go against this analysis and statistics, please come and bring it in your next speech. And then, as I have said, these companies evading paying the taxes to our government, to the governments of these areas. What happens? These areas are not going to be able to have sufficient money to improve their social services. They are not going to have enough money to improve their education sector, the health service. They are not going to have enough money to pay the civil workers. So at the end of the day, you come to realize these are people like civil workers are not going to get the money sufficient money to from their jobs. You come to realize even the people in the country will now have money to pay their own personal taxes. So you come to realize in that alone, the failure to prioritize taxing of international companies. You come to realize that comes and bites us not just as international companies versus domestic companies, but now you come to realize it bites these entire parameters in their health service, their education sector. It bites them in the people's lifestyle and everything. So you come to realize all that side. Negative gives us is a world where domestic companies are being suffocated more. It's a world where the government can't actually put up enough for the people. But meanwhile in our world, we have shown you this is a world where international companies are actually just paying the government what they owe us, and domestic companies are able to get a better market share, and the government can continue to provide for its people. I rest my case.
International companies. But this means if they prioritize international companies, they are leaving out the domestic companies. This means the domestic companies are going to become less, they are going to become reluctant. And this is the fair competition that's against it. Then they go ahead and say they're going to incentivize the domestic companies. And this is not fair competition. This means they have a better opportunity. They are better than this. They are going to have a better chance at competition with these international companies. So what will happen if we prioritize the domestic companies, if we give them a better chance? This is going to increase reluctance. And dear judge, for development in Uganda, we need fair competition. We need fair competition with both domestic and international companies. If we say you're going to give Kira Motors a better chance, this means going to be reluctant. It will not bother at improving its products, and this will bring substandard products in the country. We're going to have substandard vehicles, we're going to have substandard products generally. So because these domestic companies have a better chance, they think they are better, they have better opportunities, this means that they are going to be somehow reluctant in producing proper goods. They are going to reduce the quality they are producing because they don't have competition, because these international companies have increased prices, and how is this going to affect the people? The people are going to suffer because, first of all, the international companies, we have to agree that they produce better goods. This means that even if they increase the price, they will still be favored. This means the competition, even the domestic companies, are not getting the customers that the affirmatives against they will get. Then another thing in today's debate is that Shell, they are claiming that Shell is evading some taxes, but they should provide proof how Shell is evading the taxes. Then they said that we asked them, who are you debating who will pay first or will pay last? They said they are going to debate that the person who will pay first, that is what they want. They want the international companies to pay first. But if they pay first, this means that they are going to increase, they are going to be, since the tax burden has increased on them, they're also going to increase they're going to increase the prices of the good. And this falls on the people of Uganda. This falls on the citizens. They are going to suffer because Uganda is already a developing country. Most Ugandans are poor. And if you increase the prices, you can imagine the suffering because people will still choose the quality products of the international companies. As they said in their case, the international companies are going to be forced to produce better quality products. So at the end of the day, the domestic companies are not going to be favored because the quality of the product is still low. Then they had a burden of proof, but they didn't present any international company that pays less. They are bringing share, but they don't present any statistics about share, what it did and what it did. Then they come and say they're going to incentivize the domestic companies. But if you incentivize them, that means you're giving them more support. You're actually making them reluctant. They think they're going to do it better. So if you incentivize them, that means the international companies are not being favored, and this is going to be catastrophic. They are just, how is it going to be catastrophic? Think about it. In a class, if you have students, if you have weak students and strong students, and you say you're going to maybe make it hard for the brighter student, then the weak student is going to be reluctant. We will not read books, and this is not what we want in our Uganda. We want fair competition. We want the competition to be fair. If the taxes are being paid, let them both be paid on time. Let the competition be fair. Let the domestic companies have the zeal, have the urge to compete with the international companies. This is what we want in Uganda. Then, dear judge, what is going to happen if we make it hard for these international companies? We are going to see monopoly of trade. We are going to see that these domestic companies are actually going to produce substandard goods, and since they are going to limit the choices of the people. The international goods that are no longer being bought by people, it is going to limit the choices of the people because we are going to only have domestic products which are even substandard, and this is not what we want in Uganda. Then another thing is that many people are employed in these international companies, and if we increase the tax burden on them, that means that these people are going to be paid low, and this is affecting the economy of Uganda poor. It is affecting the people of Uganda in a negative way because those people employed also need their pay, and this is what we do not want in the affirmative case. Then the tax burden falls on the final consumers. I was saying, if the international companies increase the prices, the people who are in the country, the citizens, are the ones going to suffer. And this is not what we want in the negative case of today's debate. Then, some things are not in the country, some goods are not produced. Let's take an example, some medicines are not produced from the country. You're still going to increase the tax burden on the international companies. We are going to have a lack of some goods in the country, and this is, we cannot survive without it, because without medicine, people are going to die. And that is not what we want. Then, another thing is that we also have some companies in our country which are operating internationally. They also operate in other countries. If we increase the tax burden on the international companies operating in Uganda, that means that even other countries are going to increase the tax burden on our companies operating in other countries. And we need to favor our people. They need to make their business. Let the competition that is there remain there. This is what we want in the negative case of today's debate. Then take an example in Idi Amin's time. He chased away the Indians. What did Uganda face? Uganda faced very many deaths. Uganda was full of deaths because he had chased away the competition that the domestic companies have. The big goods in the Idi Amin's time became substandard, and this is what the affirmatives of today suggest. They suggest that we begin more keen on international companies. This means we're going to make it hard for them, and they're also going to, if we make it hard for them, they're going to increase the prices, which is a burden, which is going to actually burden the citizens, of which these citizens will still prefer the goods, the quality goods of the international company. So in the long run, you're not even solving the problems of the domestic companies. What you should do is support these domestic companies. Support them, teach, train them, and give them some training on how they can compete with the international companies. Because reducing the competition is not helping. If you go and remove the grad student from class, the grad student, if you go and say this guy is no longer competing with you, the weak students are not going to compete. They're just going to be lazy. They will not do anything, and we shall have substandard development in our country, which we don't want in the negative case. Thank you.
Side affirmative, sorry. Now, I like the analogy brought to us by side negative. They came and told us that if you look at a scenario in a classroom where there are smart students and there are students who perform poorly. Let me restate. There are students who perform well and there are students who perform poorly. Then, taking away the students who perform well is going to encourage the students who perform poorly to basically become reluctant and not push themselves to become their best. But then what do we, as side affirmative, come and show you? We come and show you that the students who are performing excellently are actually not doing it within the laws. They're actually cheating their way to perform well. What do we come and show you? That we are going to be more keen on the students to make sure that the students who are performing poorly have a fair advantage, to show us their true colors, so that we can have an understandable basis of assessment of these two students. Now, firstly, in this debate, we come and prioritize to you that we came and showed you that prioritization of the taxation doesn't mean that we are increasing the taxes. No, we are basically being more keen on the way we are collecting these taxes. Why? Because it has been identified that companies such as Shell and Total, these companies have placed their headquarters in different countries. What does this bring about? It means that they pay less taxes than they're actually supposed to. They're finding different ways to avoid their taxes. This is the main problem that Side Affirmative has identified to you in today's debate. But Side Negative has not shown any way in which they engage with that problem. Now, they came and told us that I'll come to you later. Now, one of the main things that Side Negative has focused on, really, based on their second speaker, they came and told us that we are chasing this. He came and showed us that the effects of chasing away these companies, that the domestic companies are going to become reluctant, that then the domestic companies are basically going to become, they are basically going to take up the monopoly. But what did we present in our case? We came and told you that we are not chasing away these companies. We are not increasing the taxes we are charging them. We are basically prioritizing the way we are taxing them. What do we mean? We are basically being more keen on the money we are getting for them. They are basically giving us what they owe us. Why? Because all of this time they've been cheating their way through and they've been earning more money through methods that we have clearly identified to you in my second speech. Side Negative fails to identify that. So their whole claim of how the effects of chasing these companies from our country, how people lack medicine and all that, does not stand in today's debate. Because at the end of the day, we are not chasing away these companies. We are just being more keen on the way we are taxing them. We are getting back what our country needs. They are basically paying us what they owe us. Yes, please.
Can you prove that local companies don't exploit taxes?
Yes?
Can you prove that local companies don't exploit taxes?
We are identifying to you the reason as to why we are charging why we are prioritizing the taxation of international companies. It's because they are avoiding the taxes. We find that domestic companies, that's a problem for another day. Today we are looking at the international companies, which your side has failed to tackle. Then furthermore, basically their whole argument of chasing the companies living in our country are not, people not getting the domestic needs they need, people not getting the good quality products. Does not start in today's debate because that's not what we are looking at as Side Affirmative. We are prioritizing the taxation of international companies. What do my speakers come and tell you? That we are setting up a fair competition for these domestic companies because at the end of the day we identified for you that the international companies are cheating their way through. They are evading some taxes, they are avoiding taxes, and we need these taxes. They have to pay these taxes. So what are we doing? We are getting what's backwards ours. Then we come and tell you that we are helping people. We are basically changing our mindset between the peoples. We are shifting the mindset of people that these people have been. We came and characterize for you the countries that we are looking at. That these countries are the ones that basically pursue more of the international products, that consume more of international products than the domestic products. What does this mean? That people's mindset have already been attached to international products. So what are we trying to do? By increasing the taxes, by prioritizing our taxation of these countries. Yes, please. Yes? At the end of the day, we came and showed you the scenario that you mentioned, that there are students who perform well and the students who perform poorly. So the students who perform well are cheating their way through. What do you do for the students who are performing poorly? How do you advocate for the fact that they've been being cheated all this time? Your side has not attacked that argument in any way. Not sure that's anyway. Which you advocate for the domestic companies that are currently facing a challenge of unfair competition, which our side has come and presented to you as a solution. Then furthermore, we came and showed you that domestic companies have been suffocated. Basically meaning that these companies are already having an unfair advantage. They're basically competing and suffocating our countries. So what do we come and show you as an affirmative? Let us be more keen. Let us get what's ours. Let us get what these people owe us from us. Then we can develop our country. Then furthermore, we came and told you that this thing that it's going to encourage competition among the the domestic industries and the international industries. What does this bring about? Better quality products. Because when you want something to come out well, you want something to come out perfect, you need to encourage competition. Competition always brings about better products. So at the end of the day, if on the other side you have better quality products, people are paying us what they deserve to pay us. Our domestic companies are having a fair advantage. Our people are not basically facing a challenge of economic challenges that they try to bring about on their side. Because we are not chasing these companies. We are just taxing them. We are just prioritizing the taxation that we're paying on them. Ladies and gentlemen, let me compare these two worlds for you. In our world, we are getting back all the money that we need to get from these companies. We are basically not cheating anyone into their way to get the highest. You're basically taking away the monopoly that has been taken by the people competing unfairly in the competitions of these two companies. We are basically encouraging quality production of goods on our side. Then furthermore, we come and show that we are encouraging local competition. The countries basically the available resources are being utilized. We have changed the mindset of the people and they are going to buy into the domestic ideas. Because if they are told the international companies increase the taxes, then that will provide an advantage for the domestic companies. Meaning that they are all going to grow up. It's going to be a level growth. There's going to be a pattern. There's going to be economic development in the country. So what do we find inside negative? What does their world have? They're basically trying to avoid the fact that international companies are cheating their way through taxation. They do not advocate for any way in which they are going to solve the problem of international companies cheating their way through taxation. Yet that's the main reason as to why we are trying to prioritize their taxation, because they are avoiding the taxes. Then furthermore, they come and tell us that they are going to lose drugs from international companies, that the monopoly of domestic industries is going to increase, because they are basing it on the fact that by prioritizing our taxation with these companies, they are basically chasing them away. But guess what? On our side, we are not chasing the companies away. We are just getting back what's ours. I rest my case.
Thank you, panel. Resolved. I begin my speech in 3, 2, 1. This House would prioritize taxation of international companies over domestic companies. Panel, the affirmatives of today actually fail on defining what the resolution wants. How do they define it? They come and actually say that what the problem is that international companies are actually dodging tax. But this is not the problem of today. Because they need to come and justify to us that actually the local companies are not dodging the tax. Panel, let's put two scenarios, right? So, the people who collect taxes are actually Ugandans, right? So the Ugandans are more likely to bribe the Ugandans. So the corruption is likely to happen more on the local industries than the international industries, because the URA people have no relationship with those outside people. So those outside people are more likely to pay their taxes than the local companies. But no, they actually come and contradict themselves. They first say they want fair competition, but their first speaker comes and makes it clear that they're actually going to give incentives. What are incentives? One of the incentives is actually reducing tax. So at the end of the day, these local companies are going to have lower tax than the international companies. If you did not mention incentives, come and clarify it in your case. Pano, we have been talking about the issue of tax burden. You know, they have been taking of incentives and all the like, but they still agree that the prices are going to increase. So if prices increase at the end of the day, it is not that company that is going to pay the price. It is the local people who are going to pay that increase in price, not the company at all. Pano, we bring a scenario of two classrooms, right? A classroom, right? We say there are strong students and weak students. What they say, the bright students is cheating their way through, but they do not bring to us any statistic of any company which has cheated its way through. But they do not also show us that there are local companies are not actually dodging taxes. So in today's debate, it clearly shows that both companies are at an equal footing. So we bring at the point of competition, they lose that. Because if they are saying, let's be keen on one person and leave the other, what does it show? This means that actually the local companies have an ample ground to dodge the taxes. Because according to affirmative case, they're only being keen on one side. But negative case, we should be keen on both of them. Because if you are keen on one side, that means the other one can dodge the tax. And at the end of the day, there won't be any fair competition. So, let's continue. They come and say, if we become scarce from them, our global companies are actually going to gain market. But man, look at this scenario, right? So we have increased the the vigilance, let's say keenness on those companies, right? That means they are also going to squeeze, or they are going to be keen on our goods which are leaving our country. What does that mean? Our local companies will not be able to export their goods as they wish, because according to affirmative case, they are being keen on their products. So they will also be keen on our products. Much as we might gain the local market, we shall not have any place in the international market. Because since we are being keen on them, they will also be keen on us. No, okay, continue. So, we talk about a point of unemployment because they did not tackle it at all. Because if we are keen on them, that means at the end of that they are going to reduce the workers. But at the end of that they are going to reduce their salaries. So in the worst case scenario, they withdraw from our country, and the people who have been working in the countries in our country will lose their job. But we still present a case of quality, right? Increasing being keen or being what does not increase the capacity of our local companies, because at the end of the day they will still remain unable to produce these better quality goods. So if those companies at the end of the day we are being keen on them and they are paying high taxes, or our hours are paying low and theirs are paying high, that means these people are actually going to produce better products and at a high price. So our people are still going to pay higher prices for their goods, and our global companies are still not going to develop. But saying we win on the point of domestic companies, they are not helping domestic companies because in the first case they are making them reluctant. In the second case, our domestic industries are not going to get any share on the international market. They should come and clarify that. And then on dodging taxes, if they are claiming that the international companies are the only ones dodging taxes, let them come and clarify to the House how the local companies are not dodging the taxes and only the international companies are dodging us. Because in our scenario, our people are more related to the tax collectors and are more likely to corrupt them than the international people. So we actually believe that our companies are more liable to dodging taxes than the international companies. Then the point of monopoly will still win, because if we become too strict on these companies, that is meaning to say they might withdraw. What will happen if they withdraw? Only our companies shall remain. In the first place, our companies will produce substandard goods, of which our people are forced to buy. That is in the second stage. Our people will be forced to buy the substandard goods, and this means our local companies have the right to actually increase the prices to any price they want, because the international companies cannot compete with them. So they should not come to this house and say they are promoting competition, yet they say we should be keen on this and leave this, because if we leave this one is going to become careless, this is going to do what he wants, this one can actually dodge tax, because in your case you're only being keen on the international companies and leaving out the local companies, which means they can do whatever they want. Then the point of retaliation will still win, because those countries are also going to become strict on our countries. But they actually come and say the problem is mindset, right? They say the problem with our people is that they think those products are better, but it's changing mindset, being keen on them. Because if we become keen on them, that is actually saying that those people have better products, those people are outweighing our people, and our people will be forced to continue believing that their products are better. Because we are being keen on them, that means they have better products and they are actually winning away our people. So if the government actually accepts that they're taking more people, that means their mindset will be forced to remain as such that those companies are better. So in their case, they are not changing the mindset. But if in our case we leave them to compete favorably, our people can have hope that actually these companies can improve and become like those ones. But in their case, if they say let's restrict the bright students, let's remove the bright student from this class, this means everyone will know this student was removed because he was bright, right? So the mindset will not change at all. They will still believe the international companies are better, but in our case the mindset will change. And then being keen just means that we are going to neglect the local companies, which means they can do whatever they want, they can dodge the tax whenever they want, and this is not fair competition. A big trust.
In class, and they say that the bright student is just bright because they break the laws. But what do they suggest? They suggest we give the weak student a leeway to also break their laws. So is this working for the weak student? Of course, if you're breaking the laws, that means you're not working hard. You don't have the capacity, and this is what is good this one to bring in our country. Substandard goods, poor good quality goods in our country, and this is going to affect our health and other sectors poorly in a very negative way, which we don't want in our case. Then we ask them a question: does incentivize include reducing tax? This means that to incentivize, to give them courage, you have to reduce the tax they are paying. And if you reduce the tax, that means they have an unfair advantage to the other companies. So if they have an unfair advantage, this is not fair competition. And with unfair competition, that weak students are not going to improve. Instead, they is willing to use that advantage and remain where they are, because they are weak, they have the advantage, and they think they are winning. And in this case, the affirmatives had a case of they had a burden of proof, but they don't present any. They come and say that share They come and present Shell and Total, but they don't give us any statistics. What did Shell do? They should present that in their reply speech. Then we ask them, how are they sure that the local companies are not going to dodge the taxes? If they give them the leeway, if they are more keen on the international companies, how can they assure us that the domestic companies are going to pay the taxes? This means that the local companies are also going to dodge the taxes. But if you go with the negative case, it means that you are going to be keen on both sides, on both the domestic and the international companies. This means that both of them are going to pay the taxes on time, and we are going to have fair competition in our country. We are going to have the quality of products we need in our country. Then another thing is that another thing is getting all the money. They are saying that they are going to get, that the international companies are dodging the money. But then if you say you're going to be more keen on the international companies, this gives the chance to the domestic companies to also dodge the money, because you're not focusing on them, you're not putting your eyes on them, you're not watching them, so they also dodge the taxes. And this is not what we want in our country. We need fair competition, we need innovative and creative skills, and without an opponent who is strong enough, you cannot have innovative skills. You cannot go to fight with a chicken that you're fighting. You need a worthy opponent in order to develop. You need someone who can bring your creativity and innovation out. And these are the international companies we need. We need our country to be on the same standard as other countries. That panel will bring a point of retaliation. We tell them that if you limit these international companies, even our domestic companies, which are operating international, are going to be limited. They're also going to be taxed as the affirmatives against. So this means that we are going to suffer. Our companies are going to suffer. They're not going to get enough profits, and this is not what we want. We believe in fair competition. We want both our companies to operate properly, because if you burden the international companies operating in our country, even our international companies are going to be burdened. So we need fair competition for good products. Then we bring an example of Idi Amin's time, but they don't say anything about it. Idi Amin tried this of making it hard for the international companies. What did Uganda face? Uganda faced an economic crisis, and this is not what we want to Ugandans today. We need a fair competition, good products and development. We need a good mindset of the people, which comes through competition. With that, I raise my case. Thank you.